All right, we are good to go. So, welcome everyone to our August 2025 boot camp. We're now officially more than halfway through the year. We have some exciting stuff put together for you on our boot camp this month. So, first thing I want to do is start by reminding everybody that today's boot camp is for real estate agents of any brokerage. So, as we go throughout the program, we're going to be sharing tons of marketing pieces, training opportunities, all kinds of cool stuff throughout the program. And literally 95% of everything we cover today is available for any agent that is joining with us today. There are a couple things throughout the program, and there's very few that are really only for the agents of our brokerage. And when that happens, we'll make sure to point it out. But for the most part, everything that we have is available to everyone. So, I like to always start by saying that this is a long program, especially for a webinar. And typically we end up going the entire 3 hours. Although if we can speed some stuff along, we absolutely do that. One of the keys to this program is making sure you have a pen and paper available so that you can take notes throughout the program, because we are sharing so many tips. We're going to give you listing presentations, buyer presentations, pre-listing packages, cool places to go get marketing pieces, cool apps to use in your business. So since you're spending time focusing on your business, we want to make sure that you get the most of it. And the way to get the most of it is to execute after today's program. So I'm excited to see many of you have already been on a boot camp already this year, which is great. That's what we encourage. There is a fire hose of information that we cover, and it's hard to take everything because we're going to give you 50, 60 things that you could go execute on, which is virtually impossible. That's why we say have a pen and paper and then write down 5 or 10 things that you're going to go execute on after you leave today, and then just come back later. Once you've executed on those items, then come back and you could take the program again. We offer this program on the first Friday of every month. We never take a month off. We've been doing it for 5 years at least. And each boot camp changes up just a little bit because we add new tools and new marketing pieces and stuff like that. So with that, I want to get started. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I am going to pull up for you guys our LAER program and services guide. This is like a 40-page magazine of resources. Now, let me just share my screen again. The fact that you'll see LAER on the cover, only because I could see we have some agents from all different firms, does not mean that this is just for LAER agents. Everything in this book, this 40-page booklet, is all the tools, training, technology at LAER, but it's a nice way to segue into the tools that we're going to cover today, because the way the booklet was created is based on what agents are most interested in. So this book is divided into 4 sections. The first section is marketing resources, like marketing and branding, and we're going to spend the entire morning focusing on marketing and branding pieces in general. And then it moves into technology, then moves into training, and then moves into other support services. So the next hour or so is really focused on marketing pieces. And then after that, we'll have a presentation from our Chief Sustainability Officer, Craig Foley. I'm interested to hear what he has to say, especially all kinds of crazy flooding in like New York, New Jersey. Every month there's something happening somewhere, which is why this whole subject is so important, because every month, whether it's wildfires in California or flooding, it's become so important to our business that we're lucky to have Craig on each month to talk about the latest and greatest in sustainability. So with that, let's get started. So very brief history. This is the only plug that you'll hear about LAER. We are an independent real estate brokerage. We're 11 years old. We are based in Massachusetts, but we have offices all over New England and Florida. We have about 800 real estate agents. Where we got our name from is when the brokerage, before the brokerage was started, we had a goal of helping all agents become the best versions of themselves. So the first thing that we wanted to look at is what makes a great real estate agent. And the best agents are strong. They're negotiators of difficult terrain, meaning the best agents are really good at overcoming obstacles, as you guys know. And then the best agents are true protectors of their clients. They don't focus on the money first, they focus on helping people. And when we started the brokerage, we put all those words into a Google search: strong, protector, negotiator. And the first thing that came up was a lion. So we said, that's it. We're going to build our brand around the lions of real estate. Lions stick together in layers in the wild. And so at LAER, the real estate company, we say all the lions of real estate end up at LAER. By the way, we changed the spelling of LAER because our LAER is the mirror image of real, since we're in the real estate business. And then we created the acronym Local Agents Extraordinary Results. So started 11 years ago. And I always tell people, sometimes you drive by a house and you see lions in front of the walkway. That is because the lion is a symbol of protection. We look at it that there's a new symbol of protection for real estate across New England and Florida, and that is our for sale sign. So as you go through this book, we're going to start in the marketing section. At the very beginning of this, by the way, I forgot to say, you can download this book at laerrealty.com/success tools. You can download it and print it or take notes on it. A lot of the stuff we're going to cover, like the free marketing resources, the listing presentations, all of that is in here. So it's a great place to take notes. The first few pages of the guide just go through our 30 cultural values. As I always say, for agents considering making a move in their career, to make sure your values align with whatever brokerage you're at. That way you know that you're going to be there for a long time. We also have a little page in here about the fact that we're proud to be one of very few independent real estate brokerages in the country, but one of the still ranked every single year by Real Trends in the Riz Media Power Broker list as one of the largest based on the amount of business our agents do. Now we get over to marketing and branding, and that is where we are going to spend the morning. So the first thing that you guys will want to write down and bookmark is our LAER Agent Services dashboard. So LAER Agent Services is a place where we have tons and tons of resources available for any agent. The first thing you'll note is it is not password protected, so any agent can go on there and grab great information. And the very first link up in that left-hand corner is the program and services guide right here. So quickly on this guide, so first thing to write down is laeragentservices.com, because you'll want to come back to this throughout the year because we add stuff to it all the time. The just a little overview of what you're going to find on the LAER Agent Services dashboard is first at the very top is um, kind of a table of contents. And first piece is our Happy Agent host schedule. That's for LAER agents, by the way. That just shows you at all of our office locations where our staff is on any given day. So if you're having a customer come in and drop off a check or something like that, you want to make sure somebody's at the office. You can click on our host schedule and it tells you who's in what office and what time. There's also a link here for our internal newsletter. This is our monthly newsletter, and this is just internal. I like all of our agents. Anybody watching that is a LAER agent, strongly encourage you to read this once a month. It's only 4 pages. And what's cool about it, you get to see who recently joined the brokerage. We always have a book recommendation, a movie recommendation, tech tips. I think it's cool. A lot of the registries now have this cool property alert system that we should be talking to our customers about so that they know if somebody's recorded something on that they didn't know about. But this is the most important part down here, I think, is you get to see what's happening in the lives of your fellow agents. So birthdays, celebrations, accomplishments, things like that. Of course, we always have our sustainability section. This one we took from last month's meeting and boot camp where Craig was telling us about Zillow's new climate scoring on every listing, which means we have to be ready for that because people are going to start asking you about these climate scores, because if they're on Zillow looking at real estate, they're going to see the rating for flood or fire or extreme weather. So make sure you check that newsletter out each month because it's good information. Let's go back. We also have up here most of these other pieces, like the recently joined, the marketing, the social media assistant. All of these are going to take you down to parts of the LAER agent services. Now, you'll notice our LAER agent services is all built with these little houses. That is by design because we know real estate agents love to explore houses. So we've created all these little buttons shaped as houses so you can go in and begin exploring all the resources available for your business. So the first house right at the top is our program and services guide, which is the booklet we started with a couple minutes ago. We'll come back to it later as well. If you're a LAER agent, we also have frequently asked questions section where, of course, you guys can always email happyagent@laerrealty.com if you're a LAER agent and need something, but also we have this little area, laergps.com, with all kinds of questions. Make sure you come to our meeting, by the way, if you're a LAER agent for August, because we're unveiling not only a new marketing platform, but also, and you'll see it in the frequently asked questions, new printer capabilities, where one of the challenges our agents have had is we have like 30 different copiers at all the different offices. And while our agents like to go around and use different offices, sometimes it's a pain in the butt to install the driver for the office you're in. Now you only install one driver and you now have access to every single printer at all of our offices. And then if you're a new LAER agent, we have a tell the world section. That's all marketing pieces to let the world know that you joined LAER. And then under here, we have all of our recently joined agents. If you don't see, if you're a LAER agent who recently joined, and you don't see your info here, it's probably because we don't have your photo or bio or both. Once we have both, we update that. All right, now the fun stuff. This is where we are really going to dig in and spend the next hour, and make sure you have your pen and paper available because there is so much content that you're going to walk away with after this next hour. The very first button up here is guides, presentations, and brochures. So you click on this, and this is all Canva marketing pieces. So we have hundreds and hundreds of Canva marketing pieces. Now, most of you are familiar with Canva. If you're not familiar with Canva, here's what you need to know. The Canva has a free version and a paid version, first of all. So everybody should, at a minimum, if you're a real estate agent, you should, at a minimum, have the free version of Canva, the app installed on your phone, and you should set up an account online because it's so simple to use. That's the beauty of Canva. In the old days, as a brokerage, we used to use like Adobe products to build our marketing pieces. And the problem with Adobe is that if an agent wanted to change on a marketing piece, it was a big deal. Like that had to go back to marketing. The marketing people would make the change, send it back to the agent. That is no longer the case. Canva is made for laymen, for people that do not have a marketing degree but really want really nice branded pieces. That is who Canva is for. So at a minimum, get the free version of Canva. The paid version, I believe, is $15 per month. And once we're in a couple of these, I'm going to show you some of these pieces that are a necessity for your business. I'll show you what the difference is between the paid and the free version of Canva. You can use all of our marketing pieces even with the free version of Canva. Secondly, we love Canva because of what they call templates. That means what you're seeing here is our marketing team creates hundreds of marketing pieces. Buyer presentations, seller presentations, social media pieces, buyer guides, seller guides, all kinds of stuff. There's just tons of pieces that are already created for you. So what a template is, when you open a template, so for example, we have our for sale by owner guide here. When you open a template, as soon as you open the template, it'll open into your Canva, and now that document is yours. That means any changes you make to that piece will not be seen by anybody else. It is now your piece. It's no longer, it's still in our version is still there, so the next agent can come along and utilize it. But now the piece you're working on, you're the only one that can see it. So I just opened our for sale by owner guide. We have so many guides. I mentioned buyer and seller guides. We have an investor guide, expired listing. This is our for sale by owner guide. And what this one is, it is a, let's see, this one's a 29-page booklet about selling a home on your own. And of course, it is worded in such a way that anybody who reads through this would not want to sell their house on their own because of the liability and the expense of doing that and the amount of work of doing that. So as you go through this guide, anything in the book can be customized. So you just click on whatever you want to customize and it is all yours. And that includes any place where you might see our logo, you can customize. So we'll go to the very end. You'll see we have our LAER logo here. You can take out our LAER logo. You can update photos, bio, and make this a beautiful booklet. So most agents use this and print them and bind them. And by the way, you could change all the colors as well. So if you want a different color for your team or whatever, you can change any of the coloring, etc. This is the beauty of Canva. Because if you think about it, the amount of time it would take you to develop a for sale by owner guide, I mean, it's weeks of work to write all the content and make it look beautiful. We've already done all of that for all kinds of different guides, buyer presentations, seller presentations, things like that. Now, I'm going to take you through some of the favorite pieces I have in here. But before we do that, I want to talk about the free versus the paid version of Canva. So, the biggest difference for us, so at LAER, we use the paid version of Canva. I also tell real estate agents that I think even agents should have the paid version of Canva. And I don't spend your money lightly. So I know that it's expensive, and I always say it's like death by paper cut when you're a real estate agent, because you sign up for all these little teeny subscriptions and payments and stuff, and then all of a sudden you open your credit card statement one day and you've got like 1,000 things that you're subscribing to, and some of them you use, some of them you don't. I think Canva is one of those ones that you will always use. Um, so the paid versus the free version. The difference between the two, there's a few differences, but one of the main ones is stock images. A stock images is like this lady right here. She's not one of our agents. That's a stock image that a photographer took an image of a person. And when you go in and design a piece using Canva, they have, even under the free version, they have like 1 million free stock images. Well, when you have the paid version of Canva, there's like 10 million stock images. So, one of the reasons why we always pay for the paid version of Canva, the pro version, is because we want millions of stock images. So, like that lady was a stock image, this living room, this kitchen, this little sitting area, stock image. Those are not this kitchen in the background, stock image. These people sitting with a real estate agent, stock image. So, we're in the marketing business, all of us as real estate professionals. So we want a lot of stock images so that we can build out beautiful marketing pieces. And so we want as many images as possible. Now, what happens if you're using the free version of Canva and we've designed the marketing piece in the paid version of Canva? Well, what will happen is occasionally when you're working on a piece, we use an image, like let's say this pretty image here, which is an image. I'll blow it up a little so you can see it better. This is a pretty living room, a white and gray living room. So let's just say you're using the free version of Canva, and this could be an image only available to paid Canva users. What will happen is you'll see a big Canva watermark across this image, and the system won't let you download this book into a PDF unless you change the image. So that is the worst case. If you're using the free version of Canva and you want to keep the free version of Canva, you will occasionally have to go change out photos. Super easy to do, by the way. I just clicked on, let's go. I know they just changed. There we go. I'm going to click on photos. And let's just say I want to choose a different photo. It gives me a whole bunch already, but let's say pretty living room. So in Canva, it's showing me all the pretty living room pictures they have. And you'll see some of the pretty living room pictures have this little crown in the lower right hand corner. Those are for paid users of Canva. So if you're using the free version and you see a big Canva watermark across one of the images, you have to change the image and you have to select an image that does not have that little crown in the lower right hand corner. So I see one right here that's usable. Oh, there we go. So I just switched out that image. So, like I said, Canva has millions of pictures still, even if you're using the free version. So it's not the end of the world if you don't want to pay for the pro version. So that's the worst case. By the way, Canva Pro has other cool things that you can do with it. You can schedule out social media posts with the pro version. It also has some cool things that you can do if you run a team where you share documents, things like that. But for us, the biggest reason why we stick with the paid version is because we want tons and tons of images. By the way, I'm going to put a plug out here for every real estate agent. Don't take images off of Google because, of course, Canva will let you upload your own images. So I don't want you guys thinking like, oh, I'll just grab a picture of a living room off of Google. I can tell you we're a big company, but we've had 3 lawsuits over the last 3 years for copyright issues. So one was one of our agents had a student handling their social media, and that student took an image off of Google and created a social media post about the best places to visit in the state, and that ended up in a copyright suit. Another agent took a photo off of Google of a tennis court for a homeowners association in Florida and put it into their listing, like into their listing photos. And then these photographers, some photographers make all their money in these copyright infringement suits. They're waiting for people to steal the images so that they can sue for it. So whatever you do, the most valuable thing you could take away from today is don't use images off of Google. Use Canva. Anytime you're going to do like a social media piece, do it in Canva. That way you know it's an image that you have a right to use. So, okay, that we're still in the for sale by owner page or for sale by owner booklet. One other thing I want to note, and this goes for all of the pieces that you're going to see within our LAER Agent Services dashboard, because as I mentioned, there's buyer guides, there's seller guides. I'm going to go through a couple of the very important ones I think you have to have for your business if you don't already have them. But one piece I want to point out is, especially if you're with another brokerage, is make sure that whatever the promises you're making within the marketing or branding pieces comply with the type of agency that your company practices. What I mean by that, in New England, we practice agency where we represent the buyer and the seller, and we have a very high fiduciary duty. Now, in our Florida offices, it's a little different because we practice transaction brokerage, which is a much lower level of fiduciary duty. So, what you will see is a lot of our branding pieces and presentations within our marketing section, we have a New England version and a Florida version. That is because the Florida versions, we lower the promises we're making within the marketing pieces to match the lower level of fiduciary duty that our agents have in Florida. So that is why you want to make sure that you're not over promising. Let's say you practice transaction brokerage like we do in Florida. You don't want to over promise in your marketing pieces this super high level of fiduciary duty that you're offering when in fact that's not what you're offering. So it's important. These, all of the pieces that you're going to look at, it is imperative that you print everything and look at it. Like, read through it. Don't just randomly say, oh, that looks like a pretty guide. I'm going to put my picture on it and there we go, ready to use. Spend 15 minutes reading through and making sure that the promises you're making in your pieces live up to the actual promises that you're going to follow through with, and that you agree with everything. All of these can be customized, so you can take out anything that you don't agree with or you don't practice in your own business. These are your starting point, but it's a pretty good starting point because, like I said, it would take an agent several weeks just to put this particular 29-page booklet on selling your own house. It would take you weeks to put this together. All of the legwork has been done. So all you have to do is go in, read it, put your picture on it, edit anything out that you want to change, add your own stuff as well. And now you have a beautiful marketing piece so that you can shine in your business. So that's the for sale by owner guide. Let's talk about some of the others. We do have a very long first time homebuyers course. This is a whole series, like a first time homebuyer series. So if you're teaching classes, we've created the slides there for you. We have a kids listing agreement. If you're going on a listing appointment and they have kids, then you can get them involved in the process by also having them sign an agreement that they're going to keep their room clean and pick up after themselves. We have a seller's intake questionnaire. We also have the buyer's intake questionnaire. We have, let's see. Oh, how market, this is just a brochure, how the market affects property prices. This one is important in many of our markets right now because the market looks different today than it did 2 years ago. So this is a brochure that explains how market dynamics affect the saleability and pricing of a house. So that's an important one today. We have an open house checklist, owning versus renting. We have a 20-point marketing plan for when you go on your listing presentation. I mentioned our expired listing book. Just like we have a for sale by owner book, we have an expired listing book. And we have several listing and buyer presentations. As you'll see, this is our high performing home listing and buyer presentations. These are for agents that are very interested in sustainability. Properties that have sustainable features or buyers that are interested in homes with sustainable features. We have a specialized presentation for those clients. Let's see. We have a buyer's guide, seller's guide, a listing presentation, a guide to buyer transaction brokerage for Florida. I want to go into a couple of these just to show you the level of detail in each of them. Oh, there's also a trusted vendors guide. One of the pieces, if any of you have been through our Algorwin success series on how to build a successful business, one of the ways that we teach you to build a sphere of influence is by partnering with vendors in your market. So from people involved in real estate transactions, but also like landscapers, any business owner in your marketplace, you can partner with to build a business. Because if you think about it, the average person knows 144 people. but a business owner knows thousands because they're doing the same thing you are. They are trying to build their own business, their own sphere of influence. So there's huge opportunity there. We also have these cute Monopoly board pieces. So the guide to this one's like a step-by-step brochure. I don't know if this one was the seller or the buyer. Let's see. We have one for each, but it looks like a Monopoly board. This one's the buying process. So it's like step-by-step guide, and you would just switch out, put your photo, your logo, your contact information, and you're good to go. But let's go to the buyer presentation because that's the one area that some agents still need some assistance with. So our buyer presentation, and we have a version for New England and a version for Florida. And again, the difference between the two is the level of fiduciary promises that we're making because of the two different types of brokerage that we practice in those states. So the presentations are typically created to be a presentation in slide format. So the way agents can use these is bring your laptop to a presentation or a tablet. And some agents actually print this out and do it on a flip, like a flip chart. But also, if you prefer a different format, one of the great things about Canva in general is that you can change the whole format of the whole document with just a few clicks so that it'll take all the pages and change them into a different format, such as if you wanted this in a book format, it can turn it into a book. Okay, so this is a typical buyer presentation, and I want to show you. I'm actually gonna show this in presentation mode so it's easier to read. So there's a lot of pieces in here to customize with your contact information, stuff like that. It then goes into the 10-step buying process. Now, why do you need a buyer presentation? Hopefully everybody on the call has one by now. 1 year ago, I think there were a lot of agents that did not have a buyer presentation. Most agents have always had a listing presentation. A listing presentation has been natural in our business because we are asking a seller to sign a long-term contract with us. Say 6 months, you're going to work with me and pay me a certain percentage when the transaction closes. So when you go on a listing appointment, we inherently understood that for somebody to feel comfortable signing a long-term contract with us, we have to articulate our value. Well, last year, 1 year ago, everything changed. So now we must articulate our value to buyers as well, because now we're asking the buyer to sign a long-term contract with us. So no longer are the days that you get a call, jump in your car and go show the property without an agreement. So this presentation is designed to make a buyer feel super comfortable signing a contract with you. Now, no matter what, even without all the rules changing, a buyer presentation is always a good idea, just like a listing presentation is always a very good idea, because these are your checklist manifestos. If you want to build a business over time, you need to be super consistent in your offering. And one of the ways to create consistency in your business or in life is to work off checklists. There's a wonderful book by Atul Gawande called The Checklist Manifesto. Atul is a heart surgeon who basically rebuilt the entire checklist system for many huge hospitals around the country because he noticed early in his career the number of people that needlessly died because of infections. And the infections were caused by the people in operating rooms and people working in the medical field not washing their hands enough times. So he built out checklist protocols for hospitals to work by, standards, simple checklists to make sure that hands were being washed on a regular basis. So pilots have a checklist that they go through before they lift off and before they land. All great businesses have great checklists. They have protocols that they go through. Well, your listing presentation and your buyer presentation are checklists. They just don't look like it. These are what create consistency for your business. So I always say to real estate agents that, by the way, if you have a really good presentation that articulates your value, you don't have to overcome objections. Because that's one of the things agents have fear over is, oh, I'm going to have to overcome this objection. In my opinion, an objection, when somebody, a buyer or seller, meets with you and they express an objection over something, then it is because you have not articulated value around that item that they are objecting to. That is a signal for you to go back and add to the presentation so that next time when you do that same presentation, you've addressed that so you eliminate future objections. So this buyer presentation has a 10-step buying process, and I want to just point out a couple things why we designed it this way. So what I want to point out is these presentations, these tools that you're looking at, they are not fluff. We didn't go just throw together and ChatGPT information and add some pretty pictures. We spent a great deal of time articulating these pieces so that they are a great checklist manifesto for your business. They articulate your value. And of course, you can go in and add other pieces to it. But these are going to be game changers for your business, especially if you're not using a buyer presentation already. So this goes through a 10-step buying process from evaluation, determining pricing, evaluating communities, etc. Let's go through the pieces that I think are game changers. Number one, step one is evaluation, consultation, and representation. Do I need a buyer agent? So this is kind of like includes a script that you can read through as you use the presentation. It's going to come to you easier, but it talks about what's really interesting is so many agents kind of are worried about getting that buyer contract signed. So they kind of put off talking about how they get paid until the very end of the presentation. We say lead with it. Put it right at the beginning because it puts their mind at rest that they know how the fees are working. They know how the money piece is working, that it doesn't have to occupy their mind. Have you ever sat with somebody where you did this whole presentation and they were so focused trying to remember the one thing that is important to them that they don't listen to everybody else? That's typically what happens when we don't lead with the thing that concerns many consumers right from the start. So we're going to lead with the number one thing we're going to talk about of all 10 is why they need a buyer agent and how we're paid. So it goes into what the real estate agent agrees to. That's why we have two different versions, one for New England and one for Florida, because as I mentioned, the fiduciary responsibility is different between the two states or the two areas. So these are all the things that I'm going to do for you. And then it's going to also explain all the things that the client agrees to when they sign the buyer contract. Then we recommend actually screenshotting whatever your contract is. So whatever contract you're using, your buyer agency agreement, screenshot it and go through it with them. What makes people feel fear is the unknown. But when you go through these steps, it relaxes the client because they understand what they're getting into. And then you go into exactly how you're going to get paid and talk about that, what your fee is, and that you have the ability to ask for seller contribution. And in most markets, it's not difficult to get that seller contribution. And now you've taken the whole money piece off of the table once you lead with that. Now the person can not have to think about that piece of it while you articulate all of your other value. So, step 2, determining a comfortable price range. Evaluating mortgage options. So this is all about mindset management for your buyers. We're going to tell them you got to shop for more than just the interest rate. Buyers, especially first-time home buyers, think I'm just going to call 5 places and whoever gives me the lowest rate, that's got to be the better deal. No, you have to be the one to educate to say no. You got to look at a bunch of different things. How much is the down payment? Do you qualify for the lowest rate? Maybe you don't qualify based on your down payment or credit for a conventional loan. You're going to educate them on pre-approval versus pre-qualification. What is mortgage insurance? Step 3, evaluating communities. You're going to give them things to think about when evaluating communities, from commuting distance, schools, crime, the community services. You're going to have them think about sensory considerations around, are there airports that are going to cause noise pollution or trains? And then area home prices, property taxes, things like that. Step 4, shopping for a home. Now, one of the pieces we've embedded into our presentation here is information about Real Scout, which is what we use for property search, or encourage our agents to use for property search for buyers. Here's why. The next slide, we're going to explain to the consumer why they should not go to Zillow. Why do we do that in this presentation? Because this presentation is our checklist manifesto. These are all the things we need to talk to the consumer about. If you're not talking about Zillow with your buyer, then 100% you're losing customers to Zillow each year, because we know that many consumers are going to Zillow to shop for real estate if we're not giving them an alternative. And so we want the consumer to know, like, hey, one of the things that you probably think you should do is go to Zillow to look at houses. Here's why you want to stay clear of that. Number one, it's not a real-time search. So Zillow is not updated real time. Number 2, you can't narrow your search down. So Zillow in most markets only allows the consumer to search within $50,000 increments. So that is not a very narrow search. Also, most buyers think they're contacting the listing agent, which is not the case. For sellers, the estimates are super inaccurate, and the buyer is going to get inundated by sales calls. I think the biggest one is, you know what? If you are searching on Zillow, there's a good chance you're going to fall in love with a house that went under agreement last week because it's not updated real time. I'm going to give you an app that you can use to search real time, which is why we love Real Scout, because one of the reasons why I believe people go to Zillow is because most agents use their multiple listing service. Every multiple listing service has a capability to send all the new listings to the consumer. And for most MLSs, the search experience is underwhelming. So you have to give something that is equal in texting as soon as a house hits the market, lots of photos, things like that. That's why we like Real Scout. We think that it hits the mark, it's better than a Zillow search. But most importantly, you want to make sure the consumer knows, don't go to Zillow. Also, you want to have a conversation with the consumer. Again, this is a checklist manifesto. Anytime something goes wrong in a transaction, you want to come back and make your presentation better. How often have you ended up in a weird situation because the buyer went to an open house and put it under agreement? So, I mean, that's changing a little bit because we have these buyer contracts, but still happening. The buyer doesn't understand that they signed with an agent and they can't just go do that. Let's embed that into the presentation and say, hey, when you go to open houses, it is so important that you let that agent know that you are represented, because I don't want you to get stuck having to pay 2 commissions. You can't put property under agreement with that agent when we have a contract together. You're educating the consumer about what to do when they see an off-market property they're interested in. Next, property due diligence. Before writing an offer, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, here's some of the things I'm going to thoroughly research for you. Tax records, permits, lead paint, condo documents. I'm going to do a Google search of the property. We're going to then talk to them about pricing and offer strategy. So what happens if there's a bidding war on a property you like? Next, writing the offer. So you guys can go through all of this on your own and update it. We talk about what to do if there's a rejected offer, an accepted offer, inspections. Beyond home inspections, what are the different types of inspections that they can have? What to do if there's too many repairs after an inspection? What is a home warranty? Appraisal and mortgage conditions, and things they could do to prevent mortgage declines. So we don't want them going to buy a car or moving money around or quitting a job. These are all the things to make your life easier, to make the buyer's life easier, so that they don't create problems for themselves. And then step 10, what the closing looks like. So as you go through this, you need to make it your own for sure. But couple things. Number one, this is a checklist manifesto. This is having this for a listing and for a buyer. We have separate versions of these for a listing presentation, but these are working documents. That means over time, these are going to change. You're going to add, you're going to delete, you're going to run into a problem that you never thought of, and you're going to add a slide so that can never happen again. You're going to have an objection that comes up, and you're going to go update again, so that eventually you have this wonderful document that makes you bulletproof in a transaction. So the other piece of this, I wrote an article last week about context, and that it is every choice somebody makes in their life has everything to do with the context within which it is presented. And what this presentation does is that it's putting you in context of an extreme professional. So when let's just say most consumers meet with 3 real estate agents before they sign with one. You want them to go meet 2 other people who are not as organized, do not have any type of presentation, do not articulate value. Because not only do you create context as a professional for you, you make it so that you are the easy choice for a consumer. So that is our buyer's presentation, and we are already over an hour into our presentation, and there's literally hundreds of pieces here. When you go to the very bottom, always make sure to click on see more. I'm not going to go through all of them. I think the buyer agent right now in this climate is the most important. The second is you have to have a great listing presentation. So I started today by saying to write down, take notes, and make a list of the things that you're going to go execute on after today's program. Because knowledge is not power. Sitting in a class for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours doesn't do anything unless you go execute on it. Knowledge is only potential. So, a couple of things that I want you to think about going and putting together for your own business. If you have it, either because you don't have these in your offering already, or because maybe you have them, but they're super outdated. Number one, you need a buyer presentation. So go check out the ones that we have here at LAERagentservices.com. Same with a listing presentation. You need a seller presentation. I also feel that you need a buyer package, a seller package, and an investor package. A package would be a folder with your name and logo on the front and information in there so that you're kind of reselling your value proposition when the consumer goes through your package. So a buyer package would have a whole bunch of these pieces in there. Your buyer package would have our buyer guide. It would have, if you're a LAER agent, we have a 4-page brochure about our brokerage. Let's see some of the others. I would put the buyer monopoly piece. If you have a trusted vendor list, I would do the trusted vendor list. The buyer intake form. So pick a handful of these. We have a little locals guide where it's got like, you can customize it to the local market. I would say pick a few of these pieces, print them customize them, print them, put them into a buyer package. Same with a seller package, and then a third for investors. And we have a great investor guide here as well if you go through our pieces. So you have all these packages. By the way, I always say don't wait until you have a customer to go make your packages. I think you should make, I don't know, between 10 and 30. Start with 10. 10 buyer packages, 10 seller packages, and 10 investor packages. Get them all done and have them, I say put them into a big Tupperware bucket and have it in your car. So if you meet somebody at Starbucks and you hear somebody saying they're thinking about buying a house, instead of giving them a business card, which they're going to slip in their back pocket and then it's going to run through the laundry and they're going to forget who you are, you say, I have a package I want to give you. I heard you're thinking about buying a house. That's my area of expertise. I want to give you a package of pieces that you can use as you're contemplating buying a property. So keep them in your bucket. And what's great about this is that the energy of having all that work done, you are telling the universe you're open for business so that you can I think sometimes as real estate agents, when we're not ready for new business in our own minds, that energy goes out to the universe. Like, I have all these things I have to do to be ready for business. Having your packages all completed is an energy of being open for business. That, hey, I want somebody to run into me at the supermarket who wants to buy or sell a house because I'm ready. I am ready to give away these packages. So these are the few things I would put on the list of things to go execute on if you don't already have them. So let's go back down to marketing. That was all under guides, presentations, brochures. I also want to point out we did put all kinds of stuff together for the NAR settlement last year. Most of this is all, you got it under control now. We're a year into it, but there's some really cool pieces in here. If you have a seller that doesn't see why they should pay a buyer agent, or a buyer that doesn't see why they should pay a buyer agent, there's some great articles that we put together in here for you to add to your buyer and seller packages so that it answers those questions, but it's not you answering the question as to why they need a buyer agent. We went and got articles and white papers from third parties who say that for you. So under NAR settlement resources, you probably don't no longer need our book we wrote about all the forms changes, but that's under there too. Really, the value under that button is all of the articles that we put together. So if you need to overcome the objection about buying or paying for a buyer agent, whether it's a seller paid or a buyer paying. We'll go through the social media assistant shortly. If you're a LAER agent and you ever, as you can see, we have millions, well, not millions, hundreds of marketing pieces. But if you ever want something just for you, like a custom marketing piece, we have a button here for doing that. Typically, what agents ask for under here is like our 4-page brochures are very popular, but it really could be anything. You're putting an ad together for your church bulletin or something like that. You can make any request and our marketing team will create it for you. We also have a button of open house resources. So these are like different versions of open house sign-in sheets. For example, one of the sign-in sheets we have here is kind of like a survey about the house. So especially in a market that's shifting, if you want to always be preparing for a potential price reduction, use the feedback sign-in sheet so that not only are you collecting name of somebody who came through the open house, but you're collecting feedback at all times on the listing for potential price reduction. We also have these cute little interior signs. All these open in Canva, so you can customize them. This is our little feedback open house sheet. So how cool is that? Instead of just having somebody sign their name, we're engaging the people that come into the open house and saying, hey, could you fill this out so I can give some feedback to the seller. We also have like these pop by tags for open houses. So you can have like a little bowl of microwave popcorn with your label on it. And all it says is thank you for popping by the open house with your name, your contact information. And we also have some kids activity sheets for an open house. I think agents should always have like a little area set up for kids. So we have these cute little activity sheets with coloring stuff and that way, if a family comes through and they got little kids, they're not being distracted by the kids that are hungry and want to leave. Just have a little area so the parents can go look at the house while the kids are coloring. So that is our little open house section. We also have a section of commercial resources. We're still building this because we have a lot of agents where the market has shifted over the last year. We have agents always looking for new niches. How can I go out and learn a different aspect of real estate so that I can sustain my volume? And so the commercial real estate section is for those agents kind of engaging in some commercial real estate. We have a commercial listing presentation, commercial offering memorandum, commercial valuation models like worksheets to help you value business, and then some training resources as well in the commercial end. And I'm going to come back to this one in a few minutes, signs, apparel, and marketing. One thing I do want to point out is for a cool marketing piece, every month our marketing team writes a newsletter. This is designed for consumers. So when it comes to real estate, there's a couple different types of newsletters. There's e-newsletters, like a newsletter that you email out each month. And then these are printed newsletters. Some agents do actually email these too, but I think they're better as printed. And so you can open this in either 11 by 17, which is that big paper, and then just fold it so that gets you your 4 pages. Or you can also open this in 8.5 by 11. So it's 4 pieces of paper that you would staple. But these are wonderful for customizing. And including in your packages, including at open houses. Also, I love when agents leave these at local businesses. So, for example, you feature a local business, and I was telling people the last few months, I went to my local hardware store recently, and Rosemary Kelleher from our Westford office, right at the front register at the hardware store, I saw the ROAR report with her picture, her contact information. So you can do a feature article about a local business. Maybe it's a coffee shop or a hardware store. You write about it, and then you go ask them if you can leave 50 copies at the front register for people to take. These big red splotches are so you know what you have to change on the newsletter, but then you can delete those once you've updated it. So these only take, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. We put out a new one every single month. You go and customize it, and it's ready to print for your business. So that's under the ROAR report button under marketing. And if you're a LAER agent, we have a whole section of logos and images to if you're working on your own marketing pieces. We also have a section of pop by tags. So some of you have been through our Algorwin program, and part of the Algorwin success series we talk about getting out and visiting people regularly. These are pop by tags for everything. So just different ideas, but we created the tags so you can just open these in Canva. So for example, let's look at the lemonade one. You open these in Canva and you customize, and they're ready to print, and then you just tie them on to whatever you're giving away. So selling your home with me is easy peasy lemon squeezy, and you deliver this with some lemonade, like a package of lemonade for the customer, just so you have some cool pop-by items. But we have all different tags here for you to utilize and customize for yourself. We also have our listing description generator and our agent bio generator. This one, some of you use ChatGPT. If you're not super familiar with ChatGPT, this is just a shortcut. By the way, anybody can use this. If you fill this out, this just will email you your listing description. One caveat I always say, if you're using AI for any listing description, make sure it's fair housing compliant, because AI is not fair housing compliant in general. So it will include words in there. It can include words within your description that would not be fair housing compliant. So don't just cut and paste. Don't fill this out and it'll email you. This asks you questions about the property. It's then going to create a beautiful listing description and email it to you. Anybody can use this. It just emails it to you. But read it before you cut and paste it into an actual MLS description. Also, we have our agent bio generator. I have to tell you, most of you know, I have a pet peeve over agent bios and agent photos, my two biggest pet peeves, because we live in a day and age where as soon as somebody refers you as a real estate agent, the first thing the person does is they Google you. That is the world we live in. And so I always say to our agent, by the way, if you haven't done this, this needs to go on your top list of things you're going to go execute on after the program today. Google you. And then ask yourself, if you Googled you, would you hire you? What are you seeing in that Google search? Is it compelling that somebody would say this person is a rock star in real estate? Many agents have no bio or really old bio or no photo or really old photos. These bios and photos are the first impression the consumer has of you in most instances. So typically, go Google your name and the word real estate. So Stacey Alcorn real estate, see what comes up. Because typically, many agents don't even realize that you have a Zillow.com profile, homes.com profile and a realtor.com profile. And some combination of those always shows up on the first page of of a Google search. You can change all those for free. So everybody gets a free Zillow profile, a free realtor.com profile, and a free homes.com profile. And typically those come up first in a Google search. Go do your bio. This system will just email you the bio. It asks you some questions about yourself, and then it's going to email the bio to you. So if you're a LAER agent, just so you know, we don't receive this. So if you create a new bio for yourself that you want us to update on your agent webpage, on our website, you have to email it to Happy Agent. But anybody can use this, any broker from any company. This will just email you a bio for you to update everything. But typically, you want to make sure your bio and your photo look good on homes.com, Zillow.com, realtor.com, and on your company website so that it's not a cheesy bio or a 10-year-old photo, and anything else that comes up first in a Google search so that you've covered your bases. If you're not doing this, I promise, if you have old photos or no bio, 100% you're losing business to somebody who has a good bio and a good photo. This is an easy fix. So why would you let that money go out the window? So that's the agent bio generator. So that's kind of all the marketing stuff. We have a few more marketing things that we're going to share with you in a few minutes, but I think this is a good time to invite Craig Foley on for a few minutes. He's our Chief Sustainability Officer, and he always has some really good stuff to tell us about how we can win in real estate by leveraging our knowledge on sustainable things. So welcome, Craig.
Thanks, Stacey. Thanks for the whole presentation. There's so many resources here. It's really great. And, I'm a big fan of the fact that other agents from other companies are part of this presentation, and they can literally rip all this stuff off, get rid of the LAER branding, put their own company's branding on it, and be able to use it. So that I don't know, you're really doing a great job helping all realtors succeed across the whole spectrum of real estate.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty cool, definitely, and unique to the business. I mean, I remember I've been in the business 25 years ago, and when I joined my first brokerage, I had to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, and that brokerage didn't do anything special or unique. I mean, it was doing the same thing everybody else is doing, and here you're offering some really special um, content for agents to be able to succeed. And there's no, like non-disclosure thing going on here. It's shareable to people across the entire brokerage space, which I think is very cool, definitely. So as Stacey said, I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer for the company. When I joined the company in 2019, um, we were the first residential real estate company in the entire country to have a Chief Sustainability Officer. And I'm glad to say now that that's becoming more and more of a trend. We know of several real estate brokerages that have done the same thing. And part of my job is to be a resource for our agents when they come into contact with a home that has high performance features in it. Things like solar PV on the rooftop, or like my home that's decarbonized and we're using air source heat pumps, ductless mini splits to heat and cool the home, induction cooktops. Just being aware of new technology out there is really important, and being comfortable talking about that technology is really critical as well. Um, you know, as Stacey said, with all of the presentations that we have, you've got to make those presentations your own, right? You've got to have it come from your own language. So I want our agents to be as comfortable as possible when they're talking about technology that fits into the high performance home space. And I'm going to give you one example. Stacey was talking about flood disclosure and what's going on Zillow. So I'm just going to share with you a listing. So I live in Melrose, as you are going to hear. the great city of Melrose, Massachusetts, just north of Boston, where all of the cool people live. That's Melrose. So any active listing in Melrose, like this one is, if you scroll down on the active listings in Zillow, you will come into contact with this score, climate risks. It says source First Street Foundation, which is true. They create something called riskfactor.com, and they use predictive analytics to look 15 and 30 years forward into the potential risk of owning a home over that period of time. So this is not a FEMA flood map we're looking at. We're looking at predictive analytics looking 15 and 30 years forward, right? So you can imagine a scenario, and I know that this has happened from the work that I do as a teacher and a presenter. I've asked this question several times in several of the presentations that I do. Uh, have you been asked about this at an open house? And realtors are raising their hands about this. So how do you answer this question? You know, you're at an open house. It's popular. There are a lot of people in the kitchen. There's a young couple that comes back downstairs after looking at the whole house, and you're talking to a couple different sets of buyers. They're waiting politely to jump in, and then they say, "So, what does this mean? Flood factor severe, heat factor major, wind factor major." What do you say? What's your answer to that question? You know, do you know what First Street Foundation is? That this is actually using predictive analytics to look 15 and 30 years forward into the potential risk for home buyers using this tool, right? Likely, what I think a lot of realtors will say, because they haven't taken the time to investigate this, is, well, Zillow is stupid. You know, that's not that's not a really good answer to be able to deal with these kinds of issues. So we've actually, or we didn't do it, but actually, National Association of Realtors did this. I'm on LAER Agent Services right now, and I'm going to scroll down to the agent toolbox, and you can see one of the houses is sustainability. So I'm going to just click on that and show you some of the resources that are here. And in fact, you can see that there's a script for realtors on climate risk. So that script is actually designed to help you answer that question about these scores that we're seeing more and more. First Street Foundation has created one of them. Another company called climatecheck.com has created one of them. That company is owned by Cal Inman. You may know the Inman name because his dad, Brad Inman, runs Inman News, and Brad is a major investor in climatecheck.com. So all of this stuff about potential risk is definitely on buyers' minds. And we have to think about how to answer that question, right? How to be able to deal with that appropriately. So if I go back to the original piece here of back to Zillow. If I go back to Zillow, and I'm asked this question about, heat factor, flood factor severe, wind factor major, how do I answer that question? In that script that we provided in LAER Agent Services, this is what an answer sounds like. Thank you so much for the question. I really appreciate you asking that question. It's got to be on buyers' minds these days with everything that's happening. As Stacey said earlier, flooding happening all over the place, wildfire risk. So I get your concerns absolutely about this. Just so you know, this company, First Street Foundation, produces analytics tools using predictive analytics. So this is looking 15 and 30 years forward at the potential risk for this property. And that's a really important metric that's good for buyers to understand. I want you to be thinking about this stuff, absolutely. However, I have some tools in Melrose where the city of Melrose has created a climate vulnerability assessment for the entire city. And it's come from our city engineers. And on top of that, they've created a climate action plan for the city as well. I've downloaded those into my file, and I'd be happy to share those with you and send them out to you. I think it's really important for you to get all of the information that's going on, including what the city is doing to protect its community members about what we know is a changing climate and how it's going to impact things. So if you would like me to send that to you, why don't you just put your email into the sign-in sheet, and I'll be glad to send these out to you. And if you're working with a buyer's agent, I can send them to the buyer's agent as well, and they can forward them to you. Oh, you're not working with a buyer's agent? Well, I would love to work with you because I specialize in climate risk in particular and thinking about high performance homes. So let's sit down and chat, sometime after this open house and get together, right? So there's a way to turn this kind of question about things like climate risk into a way to be able to create new business and to be able to answer this in ways that other realtors, other listing agents may not have ever thought about. And you want to be prepared, right? You want to be ready for this kind of question, this kind of new business that's out there, right? There's a ton of tools in our sustainability toolkit, LAER Agent Services. You can see them all here, including some of the high performance home buyer and seller presentations. So if you're listing a home or potentially listing a home with host-owned solar PV on the rooftop or solar panels on the rooftop, right? We have a presentation for you to be able to do that. Now, again, I want you to be comfortable in this language. So as Stacey said, the first time that you are showing this presentation to a potential listing client, you want to be prepping yourself for this. You want to be downloading, taking a look at the material, making the material your own. You can get rid of slides, add slides. You can add this to the listing presentation that we've already got. There's all kinds of interesting ways to use this stuff with Canva. One of the other pieces that I'm going to just highlight quickly is down here on the left is something called the Green Building Registry. Because so many times I think agents think, well, this green stuff is kind of interesting, but where's the real market here, right? So this Green Building Registry actually answers that question for you of significant homes in a particular location. And I'll throw in the chat, or you can just go to LAER Agent Services, of course. But I'll throw into the chat the Green Building Registry link. And I would encourage you, even right now, if you want to, this is Melrose, for instance, where I live. My home is on here. So it's a small city north of Boston, about 25,000 people live here. There's about 7,000 housing units in our small little city that's 1 mile wide by 2 miles long. And look, there are 865 homes in the city of Melrose with significant green building improvements, enough that they're appearing on this registry. That's pretty powerful. I mean, we're seeing over 10% of homes in Melrose, Massachusetts being added to this registry. The cool thing about this too is I can scroll down on the map and I can find, for instance, my home right here. We live in a 2-family. We condoed it a couple of years ago, sold it to some friends. The home has a HERS score of 59. It's a single family. It's a multifamily Victorian. Very tough building envelope to get right. But my wife and I did a significant renovation on our home, like I said, a couple of years ago. Filled it with closed cell spray foam, switched to heat pumps, switched to an induction cooktop, heat pump hot water heater, and really improved the building envelope significantly. It's also Pearl certified, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well. But look, there's my address right up here, right? If I go back to the search, I'm going to just highlight one other piece in terms of how we can use this. Just hit this again to refresh the search. As a green designated agent, I find this information really useful. So this is my home right here. I'm looking out my window across the street, and I see a home with solar panels on the rooftop. So I'm going to just click on that home for a second. It's actually a three family um, that is owned by an investor who lives around the corner up on Reading Hill Avenue from me. And this is interesting. She takes the electricity that's produced on a three family and uses it for her single family, which there's a way to do that through something called the Schedule Z, right? So this isn't even contributing to the her renters lower utility costs. It's all about her home, which is a really interesting, innovative way to do this, right? So how do I know that? Because I've started to talk to her about her solar PV system and the fact that I have a green designation through the National Association of Realtors. I know all about her system features, that it's seller owned, that it was installed in 2017, the size of the system, the estimated annual production output, and all four of those pieces are part of MLS PIN's power production category. So when you take a listing of a home in Massachusetts in MLS PIN territory, and it has solar panels on the rooftop, this is definitely a place where you want to go to get the information that the seller may not even have to be able to fill out the MLS correctly. So there's just a ton of information in here, and I've gotten to know all of my neighbors with their homes with high performance features in them, right? We're not stupid. We know how to, even if they're not our neighbor, we know how to pull information from the public record to match 1099 Main Street in Melrose, Massachusetts. Perhaps we can find their email address. Perhaps we start a correspondence there and we add them to our CRM, right? This is all future potential business, particularly if you're a green designated agent and you feel comfortable talking about this stuff, that you're more articulate than the average agent that's out there. This really sets you apart in a rapidly emerging part of this industry right now. So I just wanted to highlight that for you all, that's in our LAER agent services piece as well. One of the other things that we talk a lot about for green designated agents is that there's a unique way of valuing properties as well with high performance features. So it's not necessarily just about the comps anymore. And in fact, it is recognized in the appraisal industry. I can't tell you the number of times, Stacey, that I teach the green designation, and one of the first questions from agents is, or comments is, well, this is all great, but it's not recognized by appraisers. And that's just not accurate. In fact, there are a whole set of appraisers out there that have gone through the Valuation of Sustainable Buildings program that the Appraisal Institute offers. There's about 10 of them in the state of Massachusetts. And one of the things that we talk about in the green designation is, even though we can't pick a specific appraiser anymore, when I'm representing a seller that has post-owned solar PV on their rooftop, my job is to make sure we're maximizing the value of all of the assets of the house. And when it's got high performance assets, there's a different way of dealing with that. So we can actually use an income approach for the remaining life of the system, right? Maybe that's $25,000 of contributory value. So maybe you comped it out and it came out as 700,000 bucks, right? The listing price for the house. Now, because the homeowner owns a solar PV system and there's 17 years of remaining life on the system, and when I calculate the income approach through a tool called the PV value tool, that there's an additional 25,000, do I now list it at 729 or 724.9? Or in a changing marketplace, one of the slides that Stacey shared with you earlier said, what happens when an appraisal comes in low, right? Which we're starting to see because we're in the beginning of a shifting marketplace here, right? So maybe I list that house still at 699, but I demand a qualified appraiser, which you can do. I can't pick a specific appraiser, but I can demand a qualified one. And let's say they didn't agree with my comps, that it came in at 680 rather than 699, but there's an additional $25,000 of contributory value from the host on solar PV. You can see how this can really save transactions if you're knowledgeable and competent in this space. So there's an article down here, selling and valuing high performance homes. Definitely recommend that you take a look at that article that I wrote for Pearl Certification, one of our great partners. There's a Rewiring America IRA savings calculator. Those tax incentives are good through the end of the year. So if you have a tax appetite, if you're having a good year, you may want to think about putting solar PV on your own home, owning it outright, and taking the 30% investment tax credit to lower your tax burden. Lots of resources here for you to be able to start to get into this space, but I definitely recommend that you think about taking the green designation and becoming more and more educated on this stuff. I'm going to just throw in the chat. I get to go all over the place and work with different associations all over the United States of America on this stuff. I'm going to be doing a presentation for Ohio realtors at the end of the month, August 27th. I'll throw this into the chat. It's free, and Ohio realtors are absolutely comfortable with having other folks jump on this Zoom call about some of the resources that I talk about, have a chance to do a deeper dive than I do today about how to make this be part of your business, resources for agents and consumers that are out there. So I definitely encourage you to check this out. It's an hour-long webinar that we're going to be doing. And again, it's open for realtors across the country. So education on this stuff, being more knowledgeable and competent in this space, lowering your risk, lowering Stacey's risk in terms of knowing how to list and value these homes appropriately, thinking about climate risk and being able to answer those questions appropriately as a buyer's agent even, and making sure you're giving them the resources like a climate action plan and a climate vulnerability assessment so that they can do their own due diligence and make sure that they're buying the property that they really feel is important to buy. We know home sales are at the lowest they've been since the last recession, which I remember all too well, Stacey. And things are really challenging. Interest rates are challenging. But I think, well, I know because I'm hearing it from younger buyers, my daughter included, that they're really worried about what this climate change stuff means to a major investment like buying a home. It's a real issue out there. Zillow's making it real for all of us. There's a reason that they entered into a licensing agreement with First Street Foundation, because this stuff is getting clicks on their website, right? So we have to just be a little bit more fluent, a little bit more prepared to deal with some of these issues that are popping up all over the place, Stacey. And that's how I try to serve our great brokerage to make sure that those agents are ready to be able to deal with these kinds of questions. That's it for me, Stacey.
All right, awesome stuff. And as a reminder, since many of you are realtors, at least if you're a LAER agent, you're definitely a realtor, but it's part of our code of ethics that if we're not competent in something, we're not supposed to even work on the transaction because we're doing a disservice. So I think, especially now that Zillow has put this on all this climate information on the Zillow listing, I think we're going to see more and more questions come up about it. Not to mention the fact, like when we opened today, every single month we do the boot camp or a sales meeting, there is an extreme weather emergency somewhere in the country. This week it's New York, New Jersey. Last time it was California, but there's extreme weather everywhere. So it's so important that we really dig in and learn all this stuff. And even I took the green designation last year and there was so much great information. They said yesterday, I think Kevin Sears said that they expect to lose 150,000 real estate agents in the next year. Don't be one of them. The agents that are exiting the business are not embracing the training and getting the designations and learning how to serve their clients. The ones that are leaving the industry are the ones that just aren't interested in being really good and representing their clients the best they can. So go get the green designation. I guarantee it, you'll find it super interesting, and you'll find so many different ways you can incorporate sustainability into your business. So
And
thank you.
Yeah.
also too, Stacy and Craig, how do tsunamis affect everything? Because I know like the West Coast and Hawaii and Alaska had that tsunami warning from what was it, the 8.9 earthquake in Russia? So
Mhm.
how does all of that play into it too, Craig? I wonder, does that have an effect on anything? Like,
Not on those scores, Ashley. That's a great question, though. Fantastic question. But there are things like earthquakes and tsunamis that don't fit into the climate risk model that are completely unpredictable. What First Street Foundation and climaterisk.com and climatecheck.com are looking at specifically the impact of a changing climate, right, on the industry. And, for some of you that know me pretty well, you know that I serve on the executive committee for National Association of Realtors in this new sustainability role. And one of the things we're looking at is the existential risk that a changing climate has on it has as an impact on our industry as we move forward, right? I mean, it's one thing we can run away in a car, from an extreme weather event, extreme flooding, but our brick and mortar can't. It's there. It's in the ground, and there's a real feeling that both at the GSEs, at Fannie and Freddie, the rising insurance cost issue that's happening across the United States, but really impacting states in a huge way in the southern part of the country. But that's all going to move north as this climate risk stuff continues. So, as Stacey said, I just want to close with this because Stacey, I think you're exactly right. If you're not knowledgeable and competent in this space, as Stacey said, that language is in our code of ethics, Article 11 of our code of ethics. You should really be thinking about referring this kind of business out to an agent that does have their green designation and is competent in this space, or take the time to get that green designation and add this to your toolkit of work that you're doing.
All right, awesome stuff. By the way, for all of you, I appreciate anybody that takes any of our training programs. I always think to myself, like when I'm on my treadmill each day or walking, I listen to all of our training classes, and every single time I listen to a class, I think of a way that that could be used to further my business. And so I promise you that that will happen when you take the green designation. But even little classes, like I took our class this week. By the way, for all of you watching, you can go to our YouTube station, which is youtube.com/LAER training. All of our training is available for anybody. As well, if you're a LAER agent, we have our new app, which I'll give you guys a brief walkthrough of, with all of our training resources on there. But I was watching we did a class on showing time. And so I listened to that yesterday, and there's so many cool tips. Speaking of sustainability, like showing time, if you're going to show 10 houses on Saturday, you can do a showing card, and you basically just type in all the property addresses, and it maps out the shortest distance and will tell you in which order to um to schedule, and then what times to schedule. So I thought that was really cool. Also, it had some cool reports that you could use for getting price reductions. It shows you like overall the number of showings in a marketplace, things like that. So let's jump back on track. Hold on, let me reshare my screen. We are back at LAER Agent Services. And I don't know why that's doing that. Okay, there we go. We're back at LAER Agent Services, and I skipped over one little section. And the section I skipped over was signs, apparel, and print marketing. because there's some cool buttons under here I wanted you guys to see. If you're a LAER agent, there's a bunch of places that you can order signs and business cards and name tags and apparel. But at the very bottom of this, there's a section called print marketing, and there's some really cool resources there. Specifically, by the way, I don't get paid anything to promote any of these companies, so I don't want you to think that's why I'm promoting any of these. I think these are all game changers. Anytime in your business you can find set it and forget it systems, you should harness them, because while it's possible for you to do everything in your business for a certain amount of time, eventually you get to a place where it's no longer possible. In order to scale in the business, you have to leverage tools, you have to leverage support. And so set it and forget it marketing systems means you're leveraging. You have stuff working for you even when you're not working. So the first one is MLS mailings. Mailings is a mailing company for just listed, just sold postcards. But specifically, what makes it a little different than all the other companies is uh, it hooks into your MLS, so you can tell the system just automatically send 100 just listed postcards to all the neighbors whenever I list a house. Same with whenever I'm on a buy side of a house, just automatically send 100 postcards. And that way you don't have to think about it. And by the way, the pricing is great too. So for roughly between $104 and $136 for 100 postcards, whether you choose standard or jumbo, it will automate your business a little bit so that your marketing is happening. I'm a fan of postcard mailings only because email marketing is so difficult because there's so much noise in email. So people have to filter and filter and filter to see it. There's not a lot of filtering that has to be done when you're doing mailing because less people do it. So MLS mailings is one. If you're not using it, I put it on my list of things I'm going to go execute on. It'll take you 5 minutes to set up, and then you've got mailings going out. Second one is TPMCO, the personal marketing company.com. They have all kinds of programs, but like they do regular postcard, they also do just listed, just sold. But when you go to tpmco.com, the personal marketing company.com, scroll down to under products, automated client follow-up. And what I love about this is they have a program that for a one-time charge of $48, they send 21 mailings to your customer over 5 years. This is perfect for after closing because the National Association of Realtors tells us there's a stat that says, I want to say somewhere around 92% of consumers after a closing say they would use their agent again to buy or sell a house. But the actual number of consumers that use the same agent again is very low. I don't remember the number, but immediately after closing, the consumer says, I would totally use my agent again, but the chances of that actually happening are extremely low. And in my opinion, that is because the agents are not always good at following up or creating a marketing program after a closing, because we've put so much time and energy into getting the consumer into that house. And as soon as they're in the house, we're now on to the next transaction. Like that other transaction we're not thinking about anymore. So this is a nice way to stay in touch without having to do anything. You set it up once, and now for 5 years, your customer is going to get a mailer from you, and they're all different. Some of them are magazines, some are postcards. But most importantly, they all have your picture on the front, your contact information on the front. So I think this one is a must. If you don't already have it, I would add this to the list of 5 or 10 things that you're going to go execute on after today's program, thepersonalmarketingcompany.com. Next, I'm a huge fan of Wise Pelican. So Wise Pelican is also a cool marketing company, but a couple things I like about Wise Pelican. Um, Number one, they have a lead capture program. If you are an agent who does not have a CRM, so I hope most of you have a program where you send, like, you could give a QR code to somebody for a free market analysis, and the consumer scans that code and it'll take them off and either automatically do a market analysis or an automated valuation, I should say, for the customer, or it sends you the information so that you can create a presentation or a marketing report for them. If you don't have that, Wise Pelican will set up a page for you. So it'll create the QR code so somebody can scan it, and then it just creates a very simple landing page to collect the name and address of the customer so that you can follow up and do a market analysis. The other thing I like about Wise Pelican for making postcards and listing packages is it also hooks right into your MLS. So you set up your MLS once. And then what's cool about it is when you're going to create a marketing piece, like a brochure, a flyer, or a postcard, all you do is plug in the MLS number and it's going to pull all of your information. So you're not having to drop and drag photos and write stuff. It'll do all of that for you. So that is Wise Pelican. Two others, Yellow Letters Complete. This is a company, some of our agents that focus on foreclosures use Yellow Letters Complete because they have a program that'll do like a little, it looks like a handwritten yellow letter. And you can do a mailer, mass mailers with that. But what I like it for is handwritten personal cards. So maybe it's Thanksgiving and you want to send a handwritten note card to 400 people in your database, and you don't have time to do that. You can hire Yellow Letters Complete. They have two options. One is an AI handwritten note card, or if you don't want AI, they actually have people that will write your note cards for you and send them out. And then last is RSP, data-driven marketing. What I love about RSP is they have these market reports. These are wonderful for like condos. So like they do these target farming report campaigns. These are wonderful in Florida, especially because we have so many homeowners associations that in less than 5 minutes, you put in the market area that you want to target, and it creates a sample market analysis for the customers the properties in that association, and it creates a little map of all the solds and gives them some pictures. This is a wonderful product, especially for our Florida agents for targeted marketing. By the way, on all of these, not all, on many of these, if you go to our YouTube station, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube training platform. It's youtube.com/LAER training. So you don't miss stuff. Anytime we add a new class to our YouTube station, it'll just send you a little notification on your phone that we uploaded a new class, because we're always doing classes. We just did a class on, we recently did a class on Wise Pelican, so you get to see everything Wise Pelican does. We recently did a class on the RSP data-driven marketing platform. There's another great company called Lux VT. If you're working on a high-end listing, and you want to be able to tell your customer that you advertise in the Wall Street Journal, things like that, you can buy Lux VT for a particular listing. So it gives you all these additional marketing spaces for your high-end listing. But every month we pick different vendors that offer really cool products for agents, and we do a class with that vendor so you can see exactly what they have to offer. So RSP we just did, Wise Pelican we just did. Go check those out. All right. Really quick, I do want to have Sergio from our marketing department come on just to go through one last little piece on marketing. And then we're going to head into some technology stuff for the last hour or so. So, welcome, Sergio.
Thanks, Stacey. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to go real quick. Just a couple of features for our real estate agents. Now, normally everything that you see has no passwords. You're able to access it as an agent or as someone watching this course, this training. But these next two things I'm going to talk about are just for real estate agents here at LAER. So the first thing is the LAER marketing bundle. We're actually going to be changing this in this coming month, but I'm going to give you a taste of both, of how we currently do things and then a new program that we are starting. So first of all, whenever your listing goes live on the MLS, our team gets to work. We create this whole marketing package for your listing. It includes a brochure as well as social media pieces that cover the whole transaction of your listing, from for sale all the way to just sold. These are delivered to you via email. Now you'll receive an email. I'm just pulling up the email right now with some links to both Canva and Google Drive. So I'm going to give you a live demo of what that looks like. We have our email. It looks just like this. It'll say the address and then your concierge marketing package. We have a brochure. We have Canva templates, right? So for the brochure and social media pieces. But you can also just use the bundle as is by clicking on download bundle. This will bring you over to Google Drive, where if we switch over to the icons, you'll see the listing sheets as well as the social media pieces. Now you can use these as is. You can download them. You can click on more actions, click download. You can open this PDF up or even print it directly from the Google Drive folder. Now you get this within 24 hours of your listing going live on the MLS, so let us know if you don't see this email. And then we also have the Canva template. So here's the brochure. We've been using Canva all along. We find it really easy to share these documents with our agents so they can open these up on their own Canva account. So I just clicked on this link, and as long as you're signed into Canva, and if you haven't yet, so canva.com, click on sign in. For the marketing bundles themselves, you're able to use them with the free version of Canva. We're using your listing photos and everything. We don't use any premium features, so you can download these with the free version of Canva. I'm going to make a copy so I can show you how easy it is to kind of switch things around, how to add different photos. So any text that you see here, you're able to click into one of these boxes. If you do have a price change down the line, you're able to easily update the price and then download a new copy. Same with the photos. If you want to replace maybe one of these interior photos, you just click on uploads and then upload files, and then you can drag and drop your photo. So it's very easy to use. From here, to download these, you just click on share, download. We want to download this as a PDF print. We're going to print this out. Although you do have the option of PDF standard if you want to send this out in an email. PDF print just generates a higher quality version of your brochure in this case. And once it's downloaded, you can print it out or even send it out to print at Staples or any of those printing companies. Now for the social media pieces, it's the same thing. You just click on that link. It will open up in your Canva account. Again, I'm gonna make a copy of this because this is a live listing. Now with this, with these social media pieces, if you scroll all the way down, we include a couple of pieces for open houses, or for one is an open house and the other one's for a new price. We don't initially put these in your folder just because we don't have that information yet. So if you do have a new price down the line, you can use this piece very easily. You just add in your new price, click on share, download. This is going to be a social media piece, so I'm going to choose PNG. And then I want to select the page that I want to download. So in this case, it's page 7. Click on download, and it will download an image that you can use on social media. If you have Canva on your phone, it's even better because you can download these images directly to your camera, your photo feed, and then upload to social media from there. Or you can connect, if you go to share, right, and click on see all, scroll down to social, you can connect your Instagram account to your Facebook page. If you click on see all, you see other platforms that you can connect to and post directly to there from your Canva accounts. Now for Facebook and Instagram, you do need a business page or an Instagram page. You can't really do it with a personal account. Now down here we have some other resources. One of them is to order a 4-page brochure. So for our listings that are more luxury, the agent went out and got some nice drone shots. You can order one of these 4-page brochures. They're really great. They print out on 11 by 17 paper. We feature a lot of these nice photos. We don't provide it with every listing just because not every listing warrants a brochure like this. But if you do have a nicer brochure, just fill out that form and our team can provide a nice 4-page brochure. So I did mention I was going to give a quick demo of something that we have upcoming, which is Zara. So it's a little different. In this case, you're able to receive an email from Zara, and Zara is XARA. You'll receive an email. It looks similar to this. We don't have the final email yet, but it looks similar to this, where it says, here are your marketing materials. You can review and publish, and just like Canva, you do need to be signed into your Zara account. But one thing you'll notice is that it is much easier to get information from the MLS on to your listing. So before with Canva, I had to download the pictures from the MLS, or you might have to download it from your photographer's site. And then, usually we have like 2 windows open where we have all of the information from the MLS, and then we copy and paste info. In this case, with Zara, all of the information is already in there. For this bundle itself, we are just ready to use these, right? We can download and print the PDF. You can just download and print from home. But just like Canva, you're able to edit any of these. It's very similar. It is drag and drop. But the cool part about it is that it grabs all this information from the MLS already. So in this case, you'll notice that it pops up all of the photos immediately from the MLS. So, this will go by the order that you have the photos arranged on the MLS. But you can go in and very easily switch these. So again, just drag and drop. Maybe you want to feature an image of one of the bedrooms. Just drag and drop just like that. It brings in your photo, it brings in, your contact information, brings in the description. So this is a 2-page brochure. And then when you're ready, you can download this, right, as a PDF, or you can print, and it gives you tons of options. So that initial email gives you not only the flyer and the social media, but because this is automatically generated, we're able to give you a postcard, a different flyer called a showing sheet. This has some more photos and information. And then with the social media, you can connect it to your Instagram or your Facebook, so you can post directly, right? So you click on post, and then you hook up your Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, and you can post directly from Zara. Now, another thing that you can do with your Zara accounts is, if we go to our playbooks, you can generate these automatically. Now, for your listings, anytime there is a status change on your listing, you'll receive an email with marketing material. So that includes the brochures, the social media, for every status. So when it goes to just sold, you'll receive an email. When you have an open house, a price change, under contract, you'll receive an email from Zara. But you can generate these automatically. All you need to do is give them an MLS number. And let me see if I can pull one of these up. And now, so as far as rollout, so we are intending on rolling this out on Monday. And then for the sales meeting, we will have some training. And so let me show you how easy it is to generate one of these. So for example, I want a just listed post. All you need to do is paste in an MLS number. We're going to search. There it is. We're going to click on next. This will be under the agent's name. And then it will generate the documents. Now, the documents do take a little time to generate, so you can go, get a cup of coffee. Either way, you will receive an email once it's been generated, and it will generate all of these pieces for you. So that's just for the listing information or the listing bundle. We also have other templates available. If you go to templates, our team is working on getting everything that you saw in those Canva templates up here as well. So if we go to, for example, the new agent announcements folder, you're also able to generate these. And all you have to do is click on open. Let's see if we can generate one of these right now. It'll grab your information. So one of the first things you should do is we added your photo and your contact information, but you're also able to edit this information yourself. It's going to optimize the layouts, right? In this case, I don't have a photo, right? But I can easily update this information by, in my accounts, going to edit profile. I can add my photo, as well as contact information, my websites, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. And it will add it all in automatically whenever you generate one of these documents. Again, we're going to give a more in-depth training at our sales meeting, and then we'll probably do another training after that. But I just wanted to show you how great this this platform is, and how it's kind of going to change a lot of how we do our marketing. So that's Zara, is just a quick preview of that. And then we can kind of move on to our next piece, which is our monthly social media. So every month, at the beginning of the month, so today, as a LAER agent, you should have received an email and a text message with 68 social media pieces covering 4 weeks of content. So this content is fresh content that we create for you. Let me pull it up here, so I can show you what the email looks like. It looks just like this. We give you suggested captions. We don't only just give you an image, but we also give you a caption that you can copy and paste and use on social media. We give you Canva templates as well. So this covers those 4 weeks of content. And another thing that we do is we, alongside of those 4 weeks, we also give you a link here to our social media library. So the LAER social media library has a lot of supplemental content of the last 5 years of providing social media for you. We have this sort of divided up on Facebook covers, keys to buying and selling, mindset and quotes, and then holiday posts. Each of these, when you click in here, these are all Canva templates. You can filter by any of these, right? So if you're looking for content for buyers, you just click on buyers, and then we have tons and tons of content. If you get all the way to the bottom, there is a see more button, and then you'll see even more and more content. All of this includes those suggested captions. You can download the image as is, but we always include a Canva template if you want to add your own logo, if you want to switch around the photo. So it's the same for the other categories, mindset quotes, and all of these are searchable too. So if you wanted to do, let's see if I can spell it correctly, gratitude. If you wanted to do a post about gratitude, you can search that word and you'll see a bunch of posts that are about gratitude, right? So you can use these as is, just download the image itself or use the Canva template. So that is our social media library, and that isn't, the intention is that, you get this fresh content every month, but you can supplement it with our social media marketing library. So you get this email at the beginning of the month, so you should have received it today. If you don't see it, let us know. You can email us, happyagent@laerrealty.com. And so that does it for me. Again, join our sales meeting on Wednesday, I think it's the 13th, for more information about Zara. That's it for me. Thank you.
All right. Awesome stuff. Thank you, Sergio. What I'm most excited about is our team works so hard behind the scenes to get those marketing bundles out as quick as possible. But lately it's been tough. Like, we're getting, some days there's just so many listings within a day or two that it's causing delays. So agents might have to wait a day or 2 days to get their marketing bundles. With our new Zara platform, which is the reason we invested in it, was instantaneous. So your listing goes live, you're going to get the email that your marketing pieces are ready. Not only that, as soon as you're doing an open house, you're going to get an email, here's your marketing pieces for your open house. So we're excited to roll that out, and some other cool things that we are rolling out in August. We're definitely going to be ready for a busy fall market. Okay, we are back at our LAER agent services. A couple more things I want to go through. We kind of covered the entire marketing, branding, and presentation section. From here, you really want to kind of explore as you have time on your own. Next, we want to move down to agent growth and development. So there's all kinds of training programs and coaching programs available at LAER. First, one of the best things you can do is subscribe to our YouTube station. So we have hundreds and hundreds of classes at youtube.com/LAER training. And every week we add new classes. There's just constantly new training classes being added. So by subscribing to our station, you'll just get a little notification on your phone that we just added a new class. So definitely go subscribe so you don't miss the classes that we're offering on all kinds of different things. And we open up all of our training to all agents. Also, some of the other things you'll see under here, and basically I just moved down. This is all at LAER Agent Services. And then I went down to Agent Growth and Development, and then clicked on Classes, Meetings, and Coaching. So couple other things for you to check out. One, you can print out our monthly training calendar here. We actually email it out now on the 1st of the month. So you guys, if you're a LAER agent, would have received this today. But this is so you can print it out and just have it at your desk. So if there's a class that you really want to make sure you attend, you have a printout of it coming up. We also have our Google Calendar up here, the training calendar with all of our upcoming classes. The cool thing about the Google Calendar is you can see all of our upcoming classes, but down at the bottom, you can integrate our training calendar with your Google Calendar or your iPhone calendar. So you just click whichever phone you have, you click the calendar you have, and then it'll overlay our upcoming training onto your calendar so you never miss anything. Let's see. Couple other things. Number one, our 12-week Algorithm program. So one of the things that we invented about 2 years ago is our Algorithm. Algorithm is our real estate business growth system. It is a step-by-step instructions on how to build an extremely successful business, and it is all based on checklist manifestos. In fact, it's 7 checklists. All you have to do is get these 7 checklists down, and you will build a phenomenal business. If you click on the 12-week Algorithm class, we also built out a 12-week program to go with it. So you can download our Algorithm workbook, which is a 100-page workbook, and then watch these classes, and each session walks you through the entire program. By the end of the 12 sessions, you will have a great handle on exactly how to build your business. That's the 12-week Algorithm class. Now, some agents need extra accountability. So that is why we also offer coaching. So the coaching is all based on the Algorithm program. So you go to laerrealty.com/LAER coaching. If you sign up for our coaching, we assign you to a coaching group. So this is small group coaching. There's usually about 5 people in each coaching group. It is led by a coach, and it is all based on the Algorithm system. So each week you have a series of steps that you have to take, you have homework, and then you have a regular coaching call with your accountability coach who holds you accountable to completing the sessions. We also have a great new agent resource center. If you're brand new to real estate, there's some great resources here, from our guide to home inspections, real estate agent's guide to lead paint, procuring costs, best practices, all kind of best practices for the different states we do business in, things like that. Definitely want to check out this section for some great tools for brand new agents. And then, so let's go backwards. We're still under classes, meetings. Hold on, let's go back. Agent growth and development. We just finished classes, meetings, and coaching. Now we're going to look at business plans and growth systems. And under here, number 1, we have our Algorithm system. This is the workbook I just talked about. So if you scroll to here again, and there's a link right there, download the workbook, because in order to do the program, you'll need the 100-page workbook that goes with it. Anybody can go there and download that. We also have a traditional business plan. Our traditional business plan is different than the growth system. The growth system is based off the 7 checklists for building a successful real estate business. This business plan is a traditional real estate business plan. This is very similar. Like if you were to ChatGPT, give me a real estate agent business plan, this is what you're going to get, something like this. So this is a wonderful tool, especially if you have a team. Bring your team together like every fall and do a business planning session where you fill this out together. And we also have a simple business plan. The simple business plan is different from the Algorithm, and it's different from a traditional business plan. It basically has you really focus on the fact that if you want to have really large results for your business, you want to go from doing $2 million a year in sales to 10 million in sales, you have to become a different version of yourself. So this simple plan helps you focus on who you need to become. It helps you create an avatar. First of all, who are you right now? What does the avatar look like of the person you need to become in order to accomplish the goal you wish? And then it helps you map out a plan for doing that. So those are a few different plans we have under our business planning tools. And then also we have a button here for online continuing education classes. Further down is our agent toolbox, and under our toolbox, number one, you got to hear from Craig, our Chief Sustainability Officer, earlier. He went through the sustainability tools on here, some remarkable tools for your business, especially as it pertains to sustainability. Also, if you're a LAER agent, down here we have a button that says get paid. This is all kinds of banking pieces. So from the online check request, which is the form that you fill out in order to get paid at LAER. So this is where you get paid like check request for a commission on an upcoming closing. You would do a check request to have funds released for a closing, so closing disbursements, release for a transaction that fell apart, all of it is at LAER check request. Also, we have links to our escrow payment portal with Ernest and e-checks, a login for e-checks. Now let's take a look at technology tools. So with LAER, one of the things that agents ask when they are considering what brokerage they want to work for is, are there any technology fees? Some companies have really big technology fees that you have to pay for regularly. At LAER, we have an optional $39 per month tech bundle. Because a lot of the stuff we provide, Loop, app files, showing time, Google Workspace, a lot of the stuff is just part of being a LAER agent. There's no charge for it. But we do have an optional tech bundle for $39 a month, and it includes 3 additional products that are not part of the regular stuff that we provide. The 3 additional products for $39 a month are right here: Fellow, Boston Logic, and Real Scout. So first, let's talk about Fellow. Fellow is a remarkable tool. And by the way, if you've never heard of it and you want to check it out, just go click on this link because we've put some classes there. So go down to LAER Technology Tools and click on LAER Tech Bundle. And the first link is Fellow. Fellow is a set it and forget it system that you put names and emails of past customers and customers you're working with, people that you meet at open houses, everybody on your vendor list. You put their names and emails into your CRM. Fellow, every 2 weeks, will send an email to everybody in your CRM, and it tells them what their property is currently worth. And these are based on AVMs, automated valuations. When it gives them the automated valuations, it tells them where they're pulling it from, because it's usually 2 or 3 different AVMs for their property. But what's cool about it, first of all, does it matter if the AVMs are accurate? Absolutely not. Does not matter at all. Usually they are very accurate, but it doesn't matter, because what the system does is it tells you who's interested in knowing the value of their property. So the system then ranks your entire database. So when you log in each day, it says, hey, you have 200 people in your database, but these 10 keep clicking through the automated valuation report. That means these 10 are interested perhaps in selling their house. A pretty cool system. In addition to yes, so Ashley said Fellow was always just for a residential property. You definitely wouldn't use it for commercial or vacant land. Why? Because there's typically not a lot of comps. So any of the automated valuation programs only do typically 1 to 4 family residential. Okay, so
You know, Stacey, sorry to cut you off, but I do know on the vacant land side, I do know they are trying to develop an algorithm for that. I don't know how far
Yeah.
they've gotten, but I did ask our rep because an agent had asked me, and they said that they were working on it. So we might see something for vacant land. We might not. It all depends on if they can get it to work, how the residential side works or not. So I just wanted to throw that little tip out there because that's a question I get frequently too.
Okay. Next up, we have Boston Logic. So part of the $39 a month tech bundle is Fellow. If you've never heard of it, definitely go check out LAERrealty.com Fellow. Watch the first class that we did on this in January. And I think you'll be blown away. We also have a more advanced class at the bottom of the screen, and that is with the CEO of Fellow. By the way, anybody can go buy Fellow. So even if you're not a LAER agent, you can go get Fellow, but it's probably going to cost you $300 a month on the low end to just sign up for Fellow. We get a company-wide discount because of the number of agents that we have in the system. The second part of our $39 a month bundle is Boston Logic, which is an agent website. So our company website is a Boston Logic website. It's beautiful. It's functional. I always tell agents, do not spend more than 5 minutes on your website. Our websites are beautiful because the websites today are like a business card. You should have one, but for the most part, consumers are not going to end up landing on that website. It's so if somebody lands on your website, you look professional. The third part of the $39 a month tech bundle is Real Scout. This is the property search platform we use to beat Zillow. We do not want our consumers going to Zillow because that's where we lose consumers. So at LAER, we encourage our agents to, number one, in your buyer presentation, talk to the customer about why they should not be searching for real estate on Zillow. What's the number one reason why? Because they're going to fall in love with a house that went under agreement last week. They need to be looking at real estate on a platform that is updated like every minute. So Real Scout for us is it's better than a Zillow search, and it's way better than most MLS searches. So I'm going to have Ashley give you a quick rundown on Real Scout and some of the cool things it can do for your business.
Thank you. I'm going to take over sharing my screen. This one, share. There we go. Can you see my screen, Stacey? I can't see it for some reason. Like when I go to share, I can't see if I'm sharing it or not. So it's
Yeah, I can see it.
okay, perfect. So what I put together is 10 quick steps to get started in Real Scout. My first thing is, in this day and age, is there an app for that? Of course there is. But with Real Scout, there's an agent app and a client app. So if you're an agent, you can download the agent portal. So for the agent, it'll be Real Scout Agent Dashboard. The way to tell the difference between the two of them, and this will vary a little bit depending upon what phone system you have, iOS, Android, Motorola, any other different phone. So the agent side app is going to be black with a white house, but it's always going to have a banner across the top left corner that says Pro. The client version is just going to say Real Scout Home Search, and it's going to be the reverse image. So it's going to be a white background with a black house and no banner across the left corner that says Pro. So that's how you can tell the difference. So if you're not sure which one you downloaded and you want the agent app, make sure your app says Real Scout Agent Dashboard, because that's going to be for the agents, and it's also going to have the Pro. So if you have any questions, if you're downloading the correct app, just send an email to Happy Agent and we can get on a call and I can help you make sure you have the right one. There are two different ways that you can use your Real Scout platform to self-generate leads. So the first one is more to engage prospective buyers to create their own link, or not their own link, but their own search. And then the next one is an onboarding link where, again, you can create the, not create, or invite clients to create their own search. So you have one that you can generate leads with, and then the next one is one that they can use themselves to create a search. But both links are unique to that agent. So for me, it's my first name, my last name, .realscout.com for the client search page, and then the onboarding link, again, which will allow them to create a search, is first name, last name, .realscout.com/onboarding. So they're the same link, just one of them has the word onboarding at the end, the other one doesn't. Another question I get often is, what if I have more than one license? Myself personally, I'm licensed in Maine, New Hampshire, Mass. I know Stacey has multiple licenses as well. So yes, you can have all 3, 4, 5, 6 of your MLSs linked to your Real Scout account. So to verify which MLS you are in, once you start creating a listing alert, the data feed / property class right here, the cross MLS search means that it's looking through all the MLSs that are linked to your Real Scout account. So if you want a particular MLS, such as Maine, New Hampshire, or Massachusetts, you would have to, sorry, I'm going back forward too many. So you would have to click the cross MLS drop down menu and then select which MLS you want. New Hampshire, very different than Maine and Mass. So New Hampshire breaks their MLS down by category. So if it's residential versus commercial lease versus commercial sale versus a boat slip versus rentals. So in New Hampshire, you would have to select the category. So if you have a commercial client that's looking for a commercial lease or a commercial sale, you would just have to click the commercial lease or the commercial sale, not just residential property, because it'll just look for residential for New Hampshire. Maine and Mass just combined everything, so you don't have to differentiate which one in those two MLSs. Quick way to add a contact, up top in the right, there's a button that says add contact or alert. Once you click on that, it's going to open a new window. I always enter their email, their first name, their last name, and then their source. I always label them if they're a buyer, and seller, or other. Once you have this information, it's going to bring you to the search criteria. So when I did this, if you are searching across the cross MLS search, it's going to be more of a basic search because it's searching multiple MLSs. And it's always going to have an alert that it's a basic search, which is just your basic search criteria like in MLS. If you are in one specific MLS, it's going to give you additional search criteria such as the school district or school boundaries that you won't get in MLS, or if you're searching multiple MLSs. You would just go through, enter their criteria. Once you have the criteria entered, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to save it. You're going to want to name the search. And then there's different alert schedules that you can set. So you can set daily, which is in the morning, or at night. You can set ASAP. So anytime a property comes on, then it emails the client. You can do handpicked. So handpicked means you would have to go through either in the morning, at night, or both, or multiple times a day. Go through the ones that your client was matched to and then manually send them. That's what handpicked means. I always do ASAP, so I don't have to think about it. It automatically sends. And what I love about Real Scout is that you can click a box to send a copy to yourself. It'll send a copy to yourself. And in an email, you can pull it up if you're at showings all day, Saturday, Sunday, on the road, on vacation. You can still see what's going on. Now, you can also upload. So instead of importing a contact one by one, if you have a CSV file, you can upload a CSV file. If you have any issues with that, email happyagent@laerrealty.com and we can schedule a call and I can walk you through the process of uploading a CSV file. There's different ways you can search. So you can draw your own outline. So if you draw your own outline or your own shape, you have to have 4 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, but your fourth point has to connect back to your first point in this square right here to close the shape. If you don't connect your fourth point or fifth point with your first point, it's not going to close that shape and it's not going to search in that area that you've drawn out. You can draw your own outline, you can do a polygon, you can do a rectangle, and you can do a radius. So what I like about the radius is, let's say you have a client who works in the medical field, they have to be, say, within 5 miles of their hospital, right? You can kind of zoom in on the map of the general area of their hospital, and then you can draw that radius out 5 miles. And when you're moving the circle, it'll tell you how many miles out you're going. So that's a neat feature as well that you don't get in MLS. Again, as I mentioned, school district, particular school name, zip code, county, condo association, subdevelopment name, subdivision. So there's different ways that you can search. And in Real Scout as well, if you have somebody that wants to be in, say, a condo association, there are criteria fields where you can put in, let's say, their minimum for an HOA fee per month would be, say, 200, and the max that they would want to spend would be 300. You could put those criteria fields in, and anything that matches their search criteria for their price, the bedrooms, etc., would match, would come up in a result, which you can't search by, you know, a minimum or maximum HOA fee in MLS. You can update a client search. So you would go over on the left to the navigation panel, click on a contact, click on their name, and then over on the right-hand side under actions, it'll say edit. You would click on the edit button. It's going to open up another window with matches that are currently, properties that are currently matched to that client. You would click on edit filters. Once you click on edit filters, it's going to bring you back to the search criteria. Once you edit the search criteria, just click save. And then any new listings, if there are any, it's going to ask, do you want to send any new listings to, say, Ashley or Stacey or that particular client? And you can send them or not send them. I always send them, so then that way they see what's new with their updated match. Auto nurture for clients, love this feature. I enable it for all of my clients. You can have it enabled for all of your clients or just particular ones that you assign it to, but I just have it for all of them. And what this does is it's a great way to be top of mind. And let's say you have a client who wants 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. That's what you set them up on, but they start looking at 3 bed, 1 bath. Real Scout will automatically, with auto nurture, will start to filter 3 bed, 1 bath homes as well as the 3 bed, 2 bath search criteria. So it does some automated drip campaign emails as well, and automated updated for relevant listings, if you will. Love that feature. The next thing I love, and you can use it for both buyers and sellers, is a monthly market activity report. And what this does is, for a specific town or specific area in a town, it'll give you within a particular price range, low end and high end, it'll give you how many active buyers and how many buyer interactions there have been within a specific time frame. So you could do 365 days, 180 days, 90 days, 60 days, 30 days. And what this does is it'll give you a heat index map, as I call it, where all of the hot properties are. And the further down the report you go, it's going to break it down in a graph so you can see how many active buyers there were on a particular week or a particular day. It's also going to break down any top viewed listings. So what I do with this is, okay, I have clients who wanted to see XYZ property in ABC town in CDEF state. They wanted to write an offer. So before we wrote the offer last year, I pulled this report for that particular area, and the property that they wanted was a hot property. So we didn't alter our offer. We structured our offer a little differently. What I mean by that is we didn't go back to the sellers to fix, you know, say $20 worth of light bulbs, right? We went for stuff that was more of a safety or health hazard that was a little more expensive than just fixing light bulbs or a light switch, right? My clients can do that when they move in, when they close, right? So not the nitty gritty stuff, but the more expensive stuff that could be the safety or health hazard. There's different ways you can use the report for sellers when you go on a listing appointment. So if you have sellers that think their house is up here, but really your CMA in this report is saying down here, you can show them, say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you know, this is what's going on in your neighborhood in the past 30 days. Jane and Joe's house right down the street that has the same square footage, same bedrooms, same number of bathrooms as yours, sold for $580. You guys are expecting $625, but all the data showing $580. You can use this to kind of bring your clients that, you know, set the higher expectation. You can always use this to, you know, bring them back down to where they should price their house. Will clients always take this into consideration? No, you know, we always have that one tough client, but you can use this in addition to the CMA, in addition to your listing presentation, to show them what's going on within their specific neighborhood within their town. So that's why I like this map, because you can't get that map in MLS, right? So that data for those maps is only from data pulled within Real Scout. And then why is Real Scout better than a website? It's above average search experience. I find it more user friendly for the agent and the client. One of my biggest pet peeves, and I'm sure Stacey has this pet peeve as well, is you set up a client in MLS, they can only like and dislike a property. Okay, great. What did you like? What did you not like about it? On the client side in Real Scout, anytime they're matched to a property, it's going to break down the kitchen, the layout, the yard, the location, the schools, the this, the that. And they can go one by one and like or dislike. And then you'll get a report in your live feed on your Real Scout dashboard as to what they liked, what they didn't like about that property. Did they like it, not like it, even before you have a conversation with them? So that's also why I like Real Scout, because it's better than MLS. It's up to date. There's a mobile app as well, and you can integrate it with, say, Follow Up Boss, Realtor.com, other major real estate lead platforms. And then I just threw, as Stacey mentioned earlier, Zillow. I just threw this in here to keep your clients off of Zillow because it's not updated. They're just in the business of collecting information and selling it, and they can't narrow their search down as much as they can in a Real Scout. So I just throw that in there for a little reminder and a little nudge saying, hey, you know, we prefer if you don't use Zillow and you use Real Scout. So that's my little quick tidbit on Real Scout. With that, Stacey, I'm going to give it back to you. And I saw a question. Vanny, yes, we see it. Okay, thank you, Vanny.
All right, good stuff. Thank you, Ashley.
You are welcome.
Like I said, this is another one of those courses that I think it's worth. First of all, we recently had the CEO of Real Scout on to do a program. So that's on our YouTube station just in the last 30 days, because they've added all kinds of additional stuff so that their product keeps getting better and better. So highly recommend that you go watch that as well. Ashley's always doing tools training. And if you want some one-on-one training, you can always sign up for a briefing session at laerrealty.com/briefings. All right, we have roughly 10 minutes left, and I'm going to go back to our LAER program and services guide really quick. This is where we started the morning. So thank you to everybody that stuck with us for an entire morning. I'm always so grateful when we have agents that are dedicated to always finding new ways to conquer the business. So where we started this morning was the LAER program and services guide, because we said this is a nice, the order in which this guide is set up By the way, if you came in after the beginning, you can download our most recent guide at laerrealty.com/success tools. We started with marketing. The first link that we clicked on was LAER Agent Services. It then went into, you got to see a presentation from Sergio that shows how we've been doing things as far as the custom marketing that we do, but also you got a sneak peek of what we're adding to that. So our new Zara marketing platform that we're launching next week. You got to see our social media assistant and how that is texted and emailed to you at the beginning of every month so that all of your social media content is done. Next, we didn't get to spend a lot of time on this, but we encourage our agents to use Cloud CMA or RPR for their realtor property reports. If you're using Cloud CMA, make sure you're using the LAER version, not the free version that you get through the MLS, because the LAER version of Cloud CMA has all kinds of additional marketing pieces that we've embedded into the program. Let's see. You also got to get a sneak peek at some of the technology that we offer. We offer Dot Loop for our New England agents, app files for our Florida agents, and Transaction Desk for our Connecticut agents. That's all for transaction management. Showing Time, Cloud CMA, our G Suite. You got to see a preview of the $39 a month tech bundle we offer. That includes Fellow, which is a CRM set it and forget it system, the agent website, and you got to see a sneak peek from Ashley on how to utilize Real Scout to keep your clients from going to Zillow. So important. We also spent a little time looking at some of the links under our career development section. You got to see a little bit about our Algorwin program, and anybody can go download our Algorwin booklet. As well, we have a phenomenal coaching program at laerrealty.com/LAER coaching. This is for agents that need an extra boost of accountability for completing the Algorwin program. And in addition to that, we constantly offer training and award events and masterminds and networking. It's always a good idea to be around other real estate agents because you pick up stuff. Not only might you pick up some business, but you pick up information, new ways, new technologies that they're using, and you find ways to learn from your peers. Last is our agent support services section. So if you're a LAER agent, this is just a reminder that anytime you need help with anything, we have 50+ staff members who are here to support you. The best way to get support at our company is to email happyagent@laerrealty.com. You can ask us anything. If you know who you want to talk to, email them at happyagent so that your request doesn't get lost. But also, if you don't know who you need to talk to, but you need help with something, email Happy Agent and our team will get back to you. We are set up with both Deposit Link and Earnest for collecting escrow deposits and commission checks. And as well, if you're a LAER agent, then you know that we have our deluxe e-check system for paying out commissions, not only to our agents, but cooperating agents, sellers, etc. By the way, in case you didn't know, we also offer in-house cash advances. So if you have a closing coming up and you need the money today, but your closing's not for 3 weeks, you can apply for a cash advance right at our e-check, right at our check request system at laerrealty.com/check request. Also in this program guide, there's a page in the back called Generating Leads. It's on page 32. Make sure on the left-hand side of this screen are all the referral fee-based lead platforms. And on the right-hand side are all the subscription-based lead platforms. I always think at least, the subscription-based lead platforms seem like they're less expensive, but they're really not, because you could pay for many, many months and not convert a transaction. I think agents should sign up for all the referral fee-based lead platforms if you need business. And any of these lead companies, you have to remember, when you're working cold leads, it's a very difficult way to build a business, and it's always extremely expensive. So that is why it's so important to engage in training like you're at today, so that eventually you can wean yourself off of all these platforms. They're too expensive and they distract you from the good business, the business of building referrals and stuff like that. But until you get there, I say sign up for all these referral fee-based lead platforms. You can just click on each of these links when you open our LAER program and services guide, and it will take you to the page to sign up for the referral fee-based platform. These companies take 35 to 40% right off the top of the transaction, but it's only if you close. So if it never closes, you're not paying anything. Also, when you sign up for the referral fee-based lead platforms, note that they put in measures to see how far you're willing to keep pushing. The success of converting cold leads requires persistence. That is why many of these companies when you go to their site, they say, oh, you can sign this up and fill all this out, but we have a waiting list. They know that a certain percent are not going to fill out everything on the waiting list. To them, that means you're not persistent. So it's their way of weeding out real estate agents. So even if there's a waiting list, sign up for the lead platform. Next, if you're a LAER agent and interested in having a voice in the tools, training, and technology available at LAER, we'd love to have you sign up for a committee at laerrealty.com/committees. You got to hear from our Chief Sustainability Officer today, Craig Foley. All kinds of great sustainability tools at our LAER Agent Services dashboard. And last, I like to include this in our LAER program guide. We are proudly realtors. Now, I know that the realtor organization has had a very difficult 2 years, and that many agents say, well, I don't want to pay for it. This is what I believe. I've been in the business for 25 years, and I don't believe we would have an industry if it weren't for the realtor organization. The work that they do to support realtors and the work they do to support home ownership is massive. It is a massive lobbying arm. I believe we would not be here today. They protect our ability to do business. They protect homeowners. They set the bar with their code of ethics. They advance technology. I think if you're looking for a way to get a return on your $600 a year realtor payment, go use RPR. I mean, that tool alone is worth $600 a year. And in addition to that, those agents that do engage in the realtor organization are the ones that get new money-making ideas. They understand how to leverage tools. They learn from fellow real estate agents, etc. With that, if you are not a LAER agent and you love everything you heard today, we'd love to hear more from you. We're always looking for more real estate agents, especially ones like you, ones willing to take a few hours to better their career. So this is a list of all of our Mass, Connecticut, Maine, New Hampshire, and Florida real estate offices. But even if there's an area that we don't have yet, we're always looking to expand further into additional markets. So if you're interested in learning more about LAER, you can email us at happyagent@laerrealty.com and we can set up a confidential call. And last but not least, thank you to everyone who helped us today, Craig, Ashley, Sergio, for another wonderful sales boot camp. And we look forward to our next one. Our next one in September will have all kinds of new tools that will have been rolled out by that point. So we're excited to start the fall right with some great tools to help our agents. So thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of summer.